Adeleke, thank you so much for joining me on Poems and Poets today. I'm excited to speak with you. What are you expecting?
What am I expecting? Honestly, I don't know. I just hope this will be as much fun. I usually do the interviews, but now I'm on the hot seat, so I manage, I guess. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Tell yourself the seat is not hot.
But
It's not hot. It will not be hot, I promise.
Yeah, I'll be good.
I'm a very friendly interviewer.
I usually find it's the people who say that tends to trip you up, but I think I'll hold my own. So thank you for having me here on the poem and the poet. I think it's such a lovely initiative. It's catchy. I mean, the poem, the poet. It feels good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
so the first poem you sent started with therapy session, and I thought that's tricky. Why would you send me a poem that sounds like my full day job?
Oh, you are a therapist?
Yes, I practice. And so when I saw therapy session, I thought, you know what?
Oh, well, somebody who also practiced wanted to do a practice on me in 2020. It was in the middle of lockdown, and the whole world was losing their mind, as it were, at that time. Oh, we thought it was the end of the world, and an acquaintance was just like, you know what, like, maybe we should do a virtual therapy session for you. And I was like, why? I mean, the Nigerian in me kicked in, and I was like, I'm not running mad. I am holding my own. Why are you trying to do this to me? And I was like, no, it's not about like running mad. How have you been feeling recently? And I'm like, the world is locked at home. What are you talking about? I count myself lucky because during the lockdown, I got to be in the house. I traveled on the final day of the interstate lockdown. So I was in the house with my parents, my sister, and I was, compared to the rest of the world, I was having a good time. So I felt like I shouldn't be the subject of a therapy session. And the ending line of the poem was, talk to me, therapist, or go heal yourself. Initially, what I had there was, or go the F word, actually, because in the end, it was as though I was the therapist in that sort of way. Because, by the time I was talking about some other things, and then she was talking about some other things, and I was like, you have bigger problems than I do, honestly. So let's just turn the tables around. Let me, be your therapist, because your problems are way more than mine. So that was like the entire poem. I didn't know you practice.
So I find that very interesting that would inspire you to write a poem. So what I'm going to do is, how about you read the poem to us? Do us the honors.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right. It's titled Therapy Session. It has been a long time since I've been here. A lot has happened. Lockdown, depression, thoughts of suicide. I have seen friends lose those close to them. The center seems not to be holding. Bullets making bodies of men their home. Chaos and its younger brother, unrest, are the new chiefs. The last time I was here, you told me to breathe easy, to beat the time and allow the universe work its healing. What are you going to say this time? Talk to me, oh therapist, or go heal thyself.
I think I do understand when you use the F word, like you said the last time. I can see how it fits into the entirety of the poem now in hindsight. What I'm listening to you say and the style of the writing actually looks like chaos. Yeah, so it's not just the shutdown, it's the chaos. So first off, what is the name of that style of writing called?
Well, it's sort of an erasure because I had like a whole other poem. I was building up on it, and then the NSAS protest happened. That was like really the chaos. I was out for 2 days in Ibadan. My parents did not hear about this, but I was out on the street protesting
They are
for
going to
two
get the
days.
episode of this podcast. We'll send it to them.
Well, it's been 5 years. I should have been forgiven for that. But I was out for 2 days. I was protesting because I wanted to get a first-hand feel, like from a journalistic point of view, and I saw chaos really. And for the third time, I spoke to my friend. And the first time she said, "Oh, you just have to like breathe easy. Your life is easier, this and that." And the second time there was just a bunch of gibberish. I had seen like people die. I saw two people die in Ibadan. There were reports of like dead people in other parts of the country. Then October 20th happened, and there were several friends calling me, "Oh, if you could help me reach my brother." And of course, some of them we found them eventually. But in that moment, that thought of, "Oh, we could have actually lost these people." It was heavy. And I spoke to this therapist again, and it was so the style, the words, the emotion that was trying to pass across, they were all just like all over the place, like my thought process, like my emotions. So I just decided, oh, let me just do a scatter around. I usually do not experiment. Most of my poems are like in free verses. Yeah. For this one, I was just like, I think the structure needs to be in accordance with the state of my mind. And that was like what caused that the scatteredness. It was deliberate.
I love the erasure technique, the way you put it in, like you described it. I love the fact that it tells us where we're going. For example, we have this in depression, we have lockdown, depression, thoughts of suicide, and it was so easy to see how that would have sounded like mumbo jumbo in your head at the time it was happening. But then we get halfway past and it's like, this is no longer lockdown. Bullets aren't riddling through people's bodies during COVID. So
Yeah.
for me to see this poem as a Nigerian, I could already tell that this sounds more like the protest by the ending. And then you came to confirm it, which tells me that this poem started in about March of 2020 and spanned up until about November of 2020, because those were the duration of these activities. Was it longer than that?
I think I had the first draft in by first week in December. Yeah, first week in December. That was how long he
Wow.
incubated. Yeah.
Wow.
And it started in March, 25th of March thereabout. So yeah.
That's a really long time to write one poem. As a person who practices, I feel like I'm defending the profession, so I'm just going to not hold back. Those were not professional therapy sessions you had. Sorry to announce to you. That was your
Yeah,
friend
they were
having a
not.
back and forth. That was your friend having a back and forth with you. What I don't
Yeah.
get now is why all of us therapists are here receiving basketballs. We were not
No,
the ones.
no. I mean,
We were not the ones.
to be honest, yeah, I don't have anything against therapy or therapists, right? Because I've actually been in a proper professional session after then, and I saw the difference. So I think my friend was just, or my acquaintance was just talking to me from the point of view of, oh, it's my guy, like, and that was it. So yeah.
Okay, so I would try and not be a therapist and get back into this session. Before I ask you,
Okay.
how do you feel now?
I'm that friend. I know. I'm good. If we
No,
had this
don't
online,
worry. You're safe. You're safe today. You're
no, no,
safe.
I know I am. If we had this session like maybe 3 days ago, you might have had like a lot to unpack. But right now,
No, we're not unpacking anything on this call. We're not unpacking.
but right now I'm great. I'm in a good place.
I love it for you.
Yeah,
I love it for you.
thank
So,
you.
in this piece you wrote, the lockdown, the depression, the thoughts of suicide, the bullets riddling through people's bodies, I see key themes that is surrounding mental health. And then I also see the response to when a supposed helper, who was the therapist in this scene, is not really helpful. So again, that brings us to a new theme entirely, because what is supposed to be helpful is not helpful right now. And then we also have topics around death. So not only are we talking about the thoughts of suicide, wanting to die, we're not talking about the death of other people. How
Yeah.
did you decide to feel so many things into one single poem without losing the train of the conversation? That
So
take expertise.
okay, I think now that you have the backstory, you'd see that like it wasn't. I couldn't have lost the train of thought, right? Because I feel like personally at that point I was in a state where my personal journey was being fused with that of the nation, and we saw it all unfolded. So it was one giant train. Maybe there was not like different carriages, right? During the lockdown, again, like I said, I was like quite lucky. I could stroll out. I could call the office, get a temporary press pass, go out and see how things were. Not everybody was that lucky. And with solitude comes a lot of thoughts. And I do mind they say it's the devil's workshop. So depressive thoughts would come in for those who are already prone to who had mental health challenges. It wasn't so hard to see how that thought of suicide could also creep in. And we come to the national front. The protest happened. There was a lot of struggle. I saw people die. I mean, and I had friends who also saw people die. And we also lost like maybe distant relative, in some cases, close relatives. And it was a tough time. So all of those thoughts and all of those feelings and emotions just come compacted together. I am a very feeling person, especially when it's close to home. So I'm the kind of person that when you tell me about something, I get emotive about it. If you tell me that you have a headache now and you're very close to me, it's not going to take a long time before I start to have feelings or symptoms of an headache. If my sister or my girlfriend tells me now that, oh, they're having a fever, while I don't have a fever, I would begin to exhibit symptoms of that. So I'm that kind of person, right? So all of those, how will I put it, accumulated emotions from people, after a while, I began to embody it. And one of the ways for me to like really expunge the emotions and the thought was to just write. So I wrote, and my first draft was more chaotic than this. So yeah.
At this point, I feel like reading the chaotic version.
Oh, I no longer have it. I no
Okay.
longer have it. So yeah.
So right now, what I'm listening to you say tells me part of the reason you make a fantastic poet, the ability to absorb and then release this in words in order makes you a fantastic poet. I am also reading your second poem and I'm seeing how orderly it is, which tells me that not only are you a poet because you can receive emotions, you're also a good poet. So I want us to go to your second poem. I want you to read it. I want people to have a feel of it so they can see the difference between the first and the second. Yes, so please go ahead, read What Do We Eat?
Okay, so what do we eat? A feast of sorrow, a dish of pain, tears of the lost seasoned with rain, a pinch of regret, a dash of hate, a serving of sorrow on boo boo's plate. Black as night, a broth of despair, the essence of grief beyond repair, a bitter soup of emptiness, a meal for the broken with nothing to waste. If you must eat, dine on hope. A banquet of light helps to cope. With joy as the seasoning, love as the bread. It will fill you with happiness until you are fed. So that's what do we eat.
So I saw the word boo. That would be during Buhari's regime.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So you write nationally, you write for social issues then.
Sometimes. Sometimes because and it's important to state here because I have people who do think that I only write erotic poems, right?
Oh
Uh
wow.
yeah, the third piece is an erotic poem.
Okay.
It's a double entry. So one of my favorite, or one of the things that, because usually I'm a structured person. So one of the things I've never missed since I started is Arrows on Sunday. It just came to me in 2018. I was attending Feast of Words in UI, and I was like, oh, everybody refers to Sunday as a holy day. I mean, and this is coming. My dad's a pastor, so this is coming from a pastor's kid, and I was like, oh, everybody refers to Sunday as a holy day. And while I was on that train of thought, I just said it, and somebody next to me just said, "You mean holy as in HOLY or holy as in HOELY?" And I was like, "You're onto something there. Say that again." And then he said it again, and I was like, we were attending the event on a Saturday, and then the next day I just decided I was going to write an erotic poem. And since that day, I every Sunday I write an erotic piece, and then I just put it out into the world. And yeah, have I gotten backlash for that? Yes. Have I been criticized for that? Yes. But did I stop? No. I've only not written Arrows on Sunday once since that November of 2018 that I started. And that was the Sunday that followed October 20th. And, it was a memorial of sort. I just felt, no, I was not going to write it. Every other Sunday, there has never been a miss. So thank you for saying I am not an erotic poem in that sense of the word. So I do like try to write a number of things. So this one was national, and yeah, he was during Buhari's regime. I feel like the Buhari's regime was a lot. It really was a lot, and this was like in response to a number of things, skyrocketing food prices. The man came into office on the premise of, oh, I'm a tough former general, and I could end this insurgency and terrorism thing. And that never happened. What we began to see was, repentant former terrorists, a number of other things. And I was like, okay, as a country, what are we even really hitting? We have broken promises here and there. Actual food in itself has gotten to like an all-time high. So maybe you can say Buhari was just a muse for the poem. Sort of. I have other things that I've written on him. Well, sadly, he's dead now. Sadly, I use that word lightly, but it is what it is. So yeah, it was national.
So what I'm also hearing you say in under the background of all of these sentences is that you're a consistent poet.
Yeah, if you put it that way.
Because not only have you written to cardinal issues that have come up, you're paying attention to the issues in real time to write about them, but you have also given yourself the challenge to write every day, whether there is a national inspiration or not. You've made a decision to hold your muse and say to your muse, you're not going anywhere. Every six days, you must show up. Every AK market day.
Oh, yeah.
You best be here.
That. Maybe it also helps because, like in my day-to-day life, I have to write, whether I even have a muse or not. So I'm in PR and communications, and well, as long as something is happening, my client has an issue, there's something that they have to put out, I have to write, whether I like it or not. So I think that discipline, I just bring it into my heart in some sort of way. So
okay. Yeah. So we're looking at your poem number 2, What Do We Eat? What Do We Eat has a consistent reading, not consistent syllables, but it has consistent reading. It has a bit of rhyme. We find pain, rain, hate, plate, despair, repair, bread, fed, hope, cope. What style of poetry do you explore?
Okay, so this one, it started off as a free verse, first off. Okay. And then I was like, oh, okay, how about putting like a bit of a rhythm and rhyme for musical sake? Because when I was writing it, it was a tough thing to write. It was like, in the middle of a lot of problems, a little bit of music could help. So why not? So I decided to, do the regime thing, and it required a second look because, like I said, I am first and foremost a free verse poet before anything else. So after my second draft, I ran it by Jide Badmus, and then Well, I call him the miniskirt poet, really, because he also writes erotic poems, and he's big on minimalism. He's actually big on minimalism, and he's one of the few people that I look up to in the space. So he helped me, and then we looked at it together, and we cut out some excesses, we sharpened the rhymes and the rhythms together. So, and yeah, we have a better looking finished product.
I love that. I love that. I love that you're not afraid to let someone else see what you've done and put it to the test, to pay attention, to learn with someone, because that's something a lot of poets don't let themselves experience. Oh, I have a first draft and I have a free verse. What I have written is therefore law. If you edit it, you've taken away my intention. So sometimes, sometimes when people ask me to review poetry, I'm like, you know what? Keep it. I don't think you and I are ready for this conversation.
So I think one thing is I'm not afraid to subject myself to the test, because I also subject other people to it. Again, by virtue of the newsroom, you don't just write something, whether it's a report or an article or a piece, it still has to go through editorial processes. And well, I've met very brutal editors. My first editor is a very respected Nigerian, Dr. Lasisi Olagoju. You give him something you think is good enough for you, and the stuff returns back with more red biro than black prints, and you're like, my God, I thought this was good. I was like, well, I didn't say it wasn't good. I'm just saying it could be better. And sometimes it's a news report, like you were at the scene. And when you look at what he has edited, and you're like, sir, it was like you were there and you saw better than me. Because the edits would be so pristine, and it would cut out your excesses, it would bring in more rounded words. And I mean, when you see that level of expertise, there are two things. Is either you submit to correction or you become a hater. And if you become an hater or a hater, you are the one that will be worse for wear. Because honestly, what you will look at will be better than what you've given to him to begin with. So I think that when you've been in the room with people like that, you know that any chance for your work to be torn apart is a chance for your work to actually be better. It's like the phoenix. It goes into the flames, it dies so that it can, rise up and be better. So
thank you.
That's just it.
Thank you for free mentoring, free counseling, free correction to all of us. We needed it. We're going into your third poem, the erotic poem. I like what feels like a contradiction in your topics and your themes. The ability to go to social issues and then come back to really personal issues, because sometimes as poets, we want to choose a lane. We want to have our side. We want to have our pattern. I only write free verses. I only write about social issues. I only write about depression. At a point, I didn't want to read mental health poems. I didn't want to. They were tacky. They were becoming really tacky. Someone just gets really angry, wakes up, watches a movie or something, and they pick up their pen and they just rant. And you're reading it and you're wondering, where is there's not a single poetic device. I don't know if I'm reading an article. I don't know if it's an S. I don't know where we are going.
I think it's worse for wear for you, because again, you're a practicing therapist. So yeah, that might be a little too much. But for instance, during the lockdown and the year following, for all of us, it was a little too much. In fact, at Inspired, we had to do something, and we had to build, because there was just frontline, right and center. It was just like a lot of depression poems. Everybody was, we were all subjected to being held prisoners in our house against our will. But we got to make the best of it. So one thing that the curator did was, we were like, oh, we have to have an anthology. And the title of the anthology is going to be Today I Choose Joy, because there is just a lot of depressive thoughts going around. And, for people who have to be like the sponge of society, as poet, as writer, essayists, we have to soak in the general thought of the day and then, bring out words from and works from that. So if the general word of the day is just depression, if it's anxiety, that's what we're going to be soaking in. There were also a lot of poets that lost their lives around that period. We're like, okay,
Mhm.
how do we turn the tides on this? So we're like, okay, we're going to do Today I Choose Joy as an anthology.
Mhm.
We welcomed submissions for a couple months after that anthology was released. I had to like put out pieces from it almost on a daily basis. I've returned back to that anthology a number of times because
Mhm.
when the clouds are just heavy, you're like, let me
Mhm.
just read something else. Let me just read other things. Maybe let me read
Mhm.
maybe let me read maybe children books, maybe anything that is not
See,
just
see, children books are a lifesaver.
like, because they see the world different. They color everything yellow, it's bright and sunny, so they don't get to see the clouds. Unlike adults, we have to
You
like
know
do
what?
adult things.
We should buy children toys and color it yellow.
I like to think that my happy color is the color yellow. Like, I like it so much. I don't have a lot of maybe like articles of clothing on it, but like, for instance, the chair in my sitting room is mustard yellow.
Mm.
Like, I just like to I think that he has the capacity to make everybody happy. Honestly, if we can just be like children for a bit, even if it's for a tiny bit.
Okay, thank you so much. I love that. The ability to find something that is contrary in society and say, you know what, let's make something. I choose joy. Today I choose joy, and then go back to it. As poets, it's our responsibility to protect our mental health. One of the earliest articles I wrote for writers was a writer's mental health,
Mm.
because many writers do not realize that their mental health is at stake, especially when they write about social justice and they write about cultural issues and they write about emotions and things that are generational in culture. It can mess around with your mental health really quickly. So, yes, I do understand why erotic poems will come in the mix, because the fact is, sex is an everyday conversation. And again, when we talk about eros, sometimes people now think, oh, because we said it's erotic and it's sex, it has to be vulgar. And it's not always so. It shouldn't always be so. The same way, because it's mental health doesn't always mean we should be dying. Mental health can be choosing joy. Mental
Yes.
health can be taking care of yourself. Mental health can be contending to fight for your life. It doesn't have to be anger alone. It doesn't have to be irrational all the time. So
Yeah.
I agree with you on this one. So time for you to be a baker. Be a baker. Be a baker. Read
Okay.
your book.
So, Baker, uh, need me, for I am dough. Though the sun is not up, yet the dough shall rise. The heat is in your palm, the yeast in your mouth. Let's make the dough rise. Stroke your hands through.
Mhm.
Make a sausage, long and hard. The egg white is only a few strokes away. The dough shall rise, for you shall ride it. That's it.
I love the analogy, because you're saying a lot and not saying a lot at the same time.
Mhm.
I like it for you. No, I like that the ability to do that, to do a double entendre and do it correctly. That was really neat. If a teenager who is not very sexually aware reads this, they may not get the full grasp. And when they do, there's going to be a shock effect to it, because this was correctly needed.
Mhm. So that was like the tension. I don't know if it's how will I put it? Because I have like, usually I put out just errors on Sunday pieces on my status. I have like a whole lot of people on my status, on my WhatsApp status.
Mhm.
They are pastors, they are pastors' kids, they are close friends, they are far-flung acquaintances, they are other poets, they are just they are journalists and writers. So it's like people from all walks of life. Now, if
Mm,
I would say maybe I want to do like a family-friendly aerospace where it's
mm,
only if you're aware, like it's more like a if you know thing. If you don't
mm,
know, you think this piece is talking about making pastries. If you know, you can peel beyond the surface and you see what the other thing is, right? And then you're able to like, oh, you're a bad boy. And I mean, that's not in
what
contention.
So, what then would you say are the three key things to pay attention to when writing a great double entendre?
You have to know both sides of the equation. Like one of my maths teacher will say it, you have to balance both ends of the equation. For
Mm,
instance, I maybe like grew up watching my mother make pastries as a pastime, and my sister as well. So I know my way around that. I've seen how that dough would rise, and what goes into it to make it rise. If you look at all of the elements, there was mention of the sun, the heat in that sort of way. The sun is not
mm,
yet up, but of course there are other ways that you can bring convectional heat to the dough, and then there is
mm,
the yeast, and a final key element that wasn't mentioned, but like anybody that is familiar with pastry making would know it, is when you add the yeast, you actually cover up the dough, right?
mhm.
So I know that by way of exposure, I also know that there is a similar process that goes into fellatio in that sort of way. So it's more like I know this, I know that as well, and I can bring elements from
Yeah, two
this
together.
that will fit into this. So you have to like be knowledgeable about both sides of the equation. Then you have to, and this is where it gets delicate. You have to like bring it together, and in such delicate way, it's like you're trying to, how will I put it? It's like you're trying to make an atomic bomb. You cannot be too careful, and you cannot be overly careless. It has to be in a fine balance. So you have to really know your thing, and then you balance it carefully. And the third part is the presentation. Like I said, I'm in a school of thought that believes so much in minimalism. I feel like this poem could have gone into like unknown territories if I wanted to elongate it. I would want to say a lot of things that might not really push the narrative forward just to fill the page. So sometimes, if it's just three lines and the poem convinces you that, I'm finished, just let it go. If you can, get a second eye to look at it for you, great. If not, subject it to the eye test and just let it go. So I think that that's the key, knowing both sides of the equation, balancing it delicately, and brevity. Brevity, they say, is the soul of business. So yeah,
That's
those
so
would be
nice.
three key
I'm
elements for me.
listening to you and I'm realizing how different my interview with you is from the other poets I've interviewed. It's with you, we're not just listening to techniques, we're listening to placements, we're listening to personality, we're listening to how what you know influences how you do poetry. And so, what you know in poetry and how you write poetry is not just a function of, oh, I studied a book on poetry, therefore I'm a poet.
No, even did it, I'll tell you, I pretty much studied people. I started studying people in poetry first before I even read my first book on poetry. And I do not see myself fundamentally as a poet. I see myself fundamentally as a writer. So I've read a lot of books on writing, and so my poetry just feeds into all of that pool. And there are also people that I look up to. Some of them are even no longer in poetry, but they still write, and they write beautifully well. So all of that helps me. It helps my imagery, and then also on a daily basis, I just I listen to people. I could be in a bus now, and I'm just listening to people. I'm listening to gist. They might or might not come into my poetry in 2 months, in 3 months, but I'm listening to gists. For instance, I was on the road a couple months back. That was around June, and this woman was talking about her sexual escapades, and people were some other people were like, "Oh, she's too vulgar. She should shut up." And I was just there, and I was like, "This is good material, dude." Like, this is good material.
I
So
don't
I
have
was
to go look for a resource for this weekend.
so I did glean some things from that. I didn't get involved in the conversation. I was just a non-obstructive observer. and I was just observing, and I was observing, and let me say I've scattered some of our experiences in like maybe 2 to 3 euros on Sundays now. Sort
That's
of.
so nice.
So,
That's nice. I love that this interview right now has been different from what we have in your written pieces. That's the article you sent to us, the questions you answered. So when
oh,
people do watch this interview and they go read what you have written, they're able to pick up more than 7, 10 lessons to help them become better poets. So they don't just write poems they cannot defend. In my opinion, you have done phenomenally during this interview. So thank you so very much for showing up as your best self, as the
uh,
amazing poet that you are. And thank you for your consistency in the Eros community, because we don't get a lot of great Eros. So yeah,
it's a pleasure, and it feels good to be here. Yeah. Thank you
thank
for
you
your
so
time
much. Thank
and for
you.